There's a clock ticking in your life, but you can't hear it. Right now, as you're watching this, seconds are slipping away, minutes vanishing, hours disappearing into the void. And here's what's terrifying. Most people live like time is infinite. Like there's always tomorrow, always next week, always next year, but it's not infinite, not even close. The average human life is 30,000 days. Think about that for a second. 30,000. If you're 30 years old right now, 11,000 of those days are already gone. Vanished. Used up. If you're 40, 14,600 gone. 50, 18,250 days in the rearview mirror. But here's the twist that's going to change everything for you. You don't need more time. You need more life in your time. Most people are walking through life like zombies, going through the motions, following the same routines day after day, wondering where the years went. They're living, but they're not alive. They're existing, but they're not experiencing. They're breathing, but they're not living. In the next hour, you're going to learn how to escape the illusion of someday. You're going to discover why time feels like it's slipping through your fingers and how to grab it back. You're going to understand the invisible forces that are stealing your life and how to fight back. This isn't just another productivity video. This is about designing a life worth living. So buckle up, because we're about to dive deep into the psychology of time, the art of living, and the science of making every day count. Let's start with something that's been haunting you since childhood. Ever notice how a summer vacation when you were 8 felt like it lasted forever? But now an entire year can pass in what feels like a blink. You're not imagining it. There's actual science behind this, and understanding it is the first key to taking control of your life. Your brain doesn't measure time like a clock. It measures time by novelty. When you're a kid, everything is new. The first time you see snow, the first time you ride a bike, the first day of school, your brain is constantly encoding new experiences, creating rich, detailed memories. And when you look back, those detailed memories make time feel expanded. But as an adult, routine erases memory. Monday blends into Tuesday. This week feels exactly like last week. This month mirrors the one before. Your brain stops paying attention because nothing is new. And when there's nothing memorable to look back on, time feels like it disappeared. This is what I call the time unit paradox. The more routine your life becomes, the faster time seems to pass. The more predictable your days, the less life you're actually living. Think about it. When was the last time you did something for the first time? When did you last surprise yourself? When did you last feel that spark of genuine excitement, that feeling of being fully alive? If you can't remember, then you've fallen into the routine trap. Your days are passing by unmarked, unmemorable, unlived. But here's how you hack this system. You inject novelty, deliberately, strategically. You break the patterns that are stealing your time. It doesn't have to be extreme. You don't need to quit your job and backpack through Europe, though that would certainly work. You can start small, take a different route to work, try a new restaurant, learn a new skill, have a conversation with a stranger, read a book outside your usual genre, listen to music you normally wouldn't choose. The key is frequency. Novel experiences need to be regular, not just occasional, because here's what most people don't understand. Newness stretches time, repetition erases it. When you fill your life with new experiences, even small ones, your brain starts paying attention again. It starts encoding memories again, and those memories become the building blocks of a life that feels full, rich, and long. But novelty is just the beginning. There's something even more insidious stealing your time, and most people don't even realize it's happening. You think you're busy, you think you're productive, you think all that movement means you're getting somewhere. But here's the brutal truth. People confuse movement with meaning. They mistake activity for accomplishment. They're running on a treadmill, sweating, breathing hard, feeling like they're working, but they're not actually going anywhere. This is the invisible thief I call busyness. It's not just being busy, it's being busy with the wrong things. It's filling your time with activities that feel important, but don't actually matter. It's saying yes to everything because you're afraid of missing out, not realizing you're missing out on what actually counts. Let me give you a tool that will change your life. I call it the deathbed filter. Every time you're about to commit to something, ask yourself, will this matter when I'm old? Will I look back on my deathbed and be glad I spent time on this? Harsh. Maybe effective. Absolutely. Because when you really think about it, most of what we worry about, most of what we spend time on, most of what we think is important won't matter at all in the long run. The meeting that feels so crucial today will be forgotten next month. The social media argument that's consuming your energy will be irrelevant. Next week, the fear about what people think of your clothes or your car or your house will seem absurd when you're 80. But the time you spend building real relationships, that will matter. The moments of genuine connection with people you love, those will matter. The experiences that challenge you, change you, make you grow, those will matter. The impact you have on other people's lives, that will definitely matter. Here's another strategy that will revolutionize how you spend your time. I learned this from Warren Buffett, and it's called the two-list strategy. Take out a piece of paper. Write down your top 25 goals or priorities. Everything you think is important in your life right now. Now circle the top 5. Just 5. The ones that matter most. Here's what most people do wrong. They think the other 20 are their secondary priorities. Wrong. Those other 20 aren't your secondary priorities. They're your avoid at all costs list, because those 20 good things will prevent you from achieving the 5 great things. This is the paradox of choice in action. Having too many options doesn't make you more successful. It makes you more scattered. Having too many priorities means you have no priorities. You don't lack time. You lack focus. And focus isn't just about what you choose to do. It's about what you choose not to do. It's about saying no to the good so you can say yes to the great. But here's where most productivity advice gets it wrong. They tell you to optimize your schedule, manage your time better, be more efficient. But they're missing the most important element of a meaningful life connection. You can have the most perfectly organized schedule in the world, but if you're not building real relationships, if you're not connecting with other people, you're going to feel empty. Because here's what I've learned after studying thousands of successful people. Relationships aren't built on grand gestures. They're built on micro deposits. Think about the people who matter most in your life. How did those relationships develop? Was it because of one big moment, one dramatic gesture? Or was it through hundreds of small interactions, tiny moments of connection, little acts of care and attention? It's the text you send checking in on someone. It's the phone call you make just to hear their voice. It's remembering what they told you last week and asking about it. It's showing up when they need you, even if it's inconvenient. But here's what happens to most people. They get so caught up in their own busy lives that they start accumulating emotional debt. The missed calls that don't get returned, the texts that go unanswered, the invitations that get declined, the moments of need that go unnoticed. Every time you choose your schedule over your relationships, you're making a deposit in the wrong account. You're building your career or your productivity or your efficiency, but you're bankrupting your connections. And here's the irony. Strong ties comfort you, but weak ties transform you. Your closest friends and family provide emotional support, but your acquaintances and distant connections are the ones who will bring you new opportunities, new perspectives, new possibilities. That person at the coffee shop who you chat with occasionally, they might introduce you to your next business partner. That colleague from another department who you barely know. They might have the perfect job opportunity for you. That friend of a friend who you met at a party, they might become one of your closest confidants, but you'll never know if you don't invest in those relationships. You'll never discover those possibilities if you're too busy to connect. Want to feel rich in time? Give it to others. Paradoxical, right? When you feel like you have no time, the solution isn't to hoard it more carefully, it's to give it away more generously. Because when you invest time in relationships, those relationships pay dividends that make all your other time more meaningful. Now let's talk about something that's probably causing you stress right now. Your career. You've been fed a lie about how careers are supposed to work, and it's keeping you stuck. The lie is that careers are supposed to be linear. You start at the bottom, work your way up, follow a predictable path, and eventually reach success. But that's not how careers actually work in the real world. Careers don't grow in straight lines. They grow in zigzags. Look at any successful person's career path, and you'll see it's full of unexpected turns, lateral moves, apparent setbacks that turned into breakthroughs, and opportunities that came from completely unexpected directions. Steve Jobs got fired from Apple, the company he founded, and that firing led him to start Pixar and eventually return to Apple stronger than ever. Oprah was fired from her first television job for being too emotionally invested in her stories, and that emotional investment became her greatest strength. J.K. Rowling was a single mother on welfare when she wrote the first Harry Potter book. The zigzag isn't the exception, it's the rule. But most people in their 20s and 30s are so focused on climbing the traditional ladder that they miss the opportunities all around them. They fall into what I call the money trap. They choose the job that pays the most instead of the job that teaches the most. They optimize for immediate financial gain instead of long-term learning and growth. Here's what smart people understand. Your 20s and early 30s aren't about maximizing income. They're about maximizing learning. Because the skills you develop, the knowledge you acquire, the network you build, and the reputation you establish in these years will determine your earning potential for the rest of your life. This connects to something I call the adjacent possible. At any moment in your life, there are possibilities available to you that are just one step away from where you are now. But they're not visible from your current position. You have to move to see them. Your next big break isn't going to come from the obvious path. It's going to come from the connection you make at a conference that's slightly outside your field, from the side project you start that combines two of your interests, from the volunteer work you do that introduces you to people you never would have met otherwise, from the class you take just because it sounds interesting. But you have to be open to these possibilities. You have to be willing to step outside your comfort zone. You have to be curious about things that aren't directly related to your current job or industry. And here's something that might surprise you. Productive procrastination might reveal your calling. What do you find yourself doing when you're supposed to be doing something else? What activities do you lose track of time doing? What problems do you find yourself thinking about even when you're not being paid to think about them? Pay attention to these patterns. They're clues to your deeper interests and natural talents. Sometimes what feels like procrastination is actually your subconscious directing you toward work that would be more meaningful and fulfilling. But none of this matters if you don't have the energy to pursue it. And this brings us to the most fundamental truth about time management. Time is useless if you have no energy. You can have the most perfectly planned day in the world, but if you're exhausted, stressed, and running on empty, you're not going to accomplish anything meaningful. You're going to go through the motions, but you're not going to be present. You're not going to be creative. You're not going to be effective. Energy management is more important than time management. And energy management starts with sleep. Sleep is your brain's upgrade cycle. It's when your brain consolidates memories, processes emotions, clears out toxins, and prepares for the next day. When you skip sleep or don't get enough quality sleep, you're essentially trying to run software on hardware that hasn't been properly maintained. The research is clear. People who sleep 7 to 9 hours per night are more creative, more productive, better at problem solving, and more emotionally stable than people who sleep less. They also live longer, have stronger immune systems, and are less likely to develop depression or anxiety. But it's not just about quantity. It's about quality. Your sleep environment matters. Your pre-sleep routine matters. What you do in the hours before bed affects how well you sleep and how rested you feel the next day. And during the day, your body is designed to move. We've evolved to be active, but most of us spend our days sitting at desks, staring at screens, barely moving from one position to another. This isn't just bad for your physical health. It's bad for your mental clarity and emotional well-being. You don't need to become a fitness fanatic to benefit from movement. Micro workouts throughout the day can be incredibly effective. 5 minutes of stretching, 10 minutes of walking, a few push-ups or jumping jacks between meetings. These small bursts of activity increase blood flow to your brain, improve your mood, and boost your energy levels. The key insight is this. Don't just manage your schedule, manage your state. Pay attention to your energy levels throughout the day. Notice what activities drain you and what activities fuel you. Structure your day so that your most important work happens when your energy is highest. For most people, that's in the morning, but everyone is different. Some people are night owls who do their best work after everyone else has gone to bed. The important thing is to know your patterns and honor them instead of fighting against them. Now let's talk about something that could transform your entire approach to growth and development, learning. Most people are learning wrong. They're consuming information but not developing understanding. They're collecting facts but not building wisdom. The best way to learn anything is to teach it. When you have to explain something to someone else, you're forced to organize your thoughts, identify the key concepts, and find ways to make complex ideas simple and clear. Teaching reveals the gaps in your knowledge and forces you to fill them. But you don't need to be a formal teacher to use this principle. Start a blog about something you're learning. Create videos explaining concepts to yourself. Have conversations with friends about books you're reading. Join discussion groups. Find any way to articulate what you're learning to other people. Here's another learning hack that most people overlook: read biographies. When you read a biography of someone who achieved something you admire, you're essentially downloading decades of experience in a few hours. You get to see their mistakes, their breakthroughs, their thought processes, their strategies. You get to learn from their failures without having to experience them yourself. But here's the key. Don't just read biographies of people in your field. Read about people who did completely different things but achieved excellence in their domains. The principles of success often transfer across fields in surprising ways. I also want to introduce you to a concept called deliberate amateurism. Most people think that once they become good at something, they should focus all their energy on getting even better at that one thing. But there's incredible value in staying curious about things you're not good at, in maintaining a beginner's mind. When you deliberately put yourself in situations where you're an amateur, where you don't know what you're doing, you activate different parts of your brain. You become more creative, more open to new ideas, more willing to experiment, and sometimes the combination of skills from different domains creates unique opportunities that wouldn't exist otherwise. Learning isn't about mastering everything. It's about mastering what matters and staying curious about what's possible. But knowledge without emotional intelligence is like having a powerful car with no steering wheel. You might have a lot of horsepower, but you're not going to get where you want to go. Let's talk about something that will determine your success more than your IQ, your education, or your technical skills: your ability to understand and manage emotions. First, understand this: emotions are temporary. The neurobiologist Jill Bolte Taylor discovered that the physiological lifespan of an emotion is only 90 seconds. 90 seconds. That's how long it takes for the chemical cascade of an emotion to flood through your system and then flush out. So if you're still angry, frustrated, or upset after 90 seconds, you're choosing to stay there? You're re-triggering the emotion by thinking the same thoughts, telling yourself the same story, focusing on the same grievances. This doesn't mean emotions aren't real or important. They absolutely are, but it means you have more control over them than you think. You can feel the emotion, acknowledge it, learn from it, and then choose how to respond. Regulating emotion equals leadership power. People who can stay calm under pressure, who can make decisions based on logic rather than impulse, who can manage their own emotional state and help others manage theirs, these are the people who rise to positions of influence and responsibility. But emotional regulation isn't about suppressing emotions or pretending they don't exist. It's about feeling them fully and then choosing your response consciously rather than reacting automatically. One of the biggest emotional mistakes people make is avoiding hard conversations. Every time you avoid a difficult conversation that needs to happen, you're accumulating compound emotional debt. The problem doesn't go away. It grows. It festers. It affects other relationships and other situations. Hard conversations are like exercise for relationships. They're uncomfortable in the moment, but they make the relationship stronger and healthier in the long run. The key is to approach them with curiosity rather than judgment, with the goal of understanding rather than winning. And here's something that might surprise you: vulnerability, when used wisely, builds trust like nothing else. When you're willing to admit you don't know something, to acknowledge a mistake, to share something you're struggling with, you give other people permission to be human too. You create connection and trust that wouldn't be possible otherwise. But there's a difference between strategic vulnerability and emotional dumping. Strategic vulnerability is sharing something personal that serves the relationship and the situation. Emotional dumping is using other people as your therapist without their consent. The difference is intention and appropriateness. Strategic vulnerability builds bridges. Emotional dumping burns them down. Now let's address something that's probably causing you stress and limiting your choices more than you realize. Your relationship with money. You've been sold a lie about money that's keeping you trapped, and it's time to break free. The lie is that more money always equals more life. That if you just earn enough, buy enough, accumulate enough, you'll finally be happy. You'll finally feel secure. You'll finally feel successful. But here's what actually happens. Lifestyle inflation leads to time poverty. As your income increases, your expenses increase to match it. You buy a bigger house, which means a bigger mortgage, which means more time at work to pay for it. You buy a fancier car with higher payments and insurance. You upgrade your lifestyle in ways that require you to work more, not less.
Yeah.
You end up on what I call the hamster wheel of lifestyle inflation. The more you earn, the more you spend. The more you spend, the more you need to earn. You're working harder and longer, but you're not any freer. In fact, you're less free because your expenses have locked you into your current income level. True wealth isn't about luxury. It's about time flexibility. It's about having enough saved and invested that you can make choices based on what you want to do rather than what you have to do to pay your bills. This is why some people who earn less money feel wealthier than people who earn more. They've kept their expenses low enough that they have options. They can take risks, pursue opportunities, make changes without being trapped by their financial obligations. The goal isn't to live like a monk or deprive yourself of everything you enjoy. The goal is to be intentional about your spending, to distinguish between what you need and what you want, and to build margins in your life rather than living paycheck to paycheck regardless of how large those paychecks are. Buy experiences, not things. Research consistently shows that experiences provide more lasting happiness than material possessions. A vacation, a concert, a class, time spent with people you care about, these create memories that appreciate in value over time. Things depreciate. Build margins, not ego. Instead of upgrading your lifestyle every time your income increases, save and invest the difference. Create a buffer that gives you choices. The peace of mind that comes from financial security is worth more than any status symbol. But money isn't the only thing people struggle to manage effectively. Let's talk about creativity and the biggest mistake that keeps people from expressing themselves fully. Most people think creativity is a talent you either have or don't have. They think creative people are just naturally gifted, that ideas come to them easily, that they don't struggle like everyone else. But that's not how creativity actually works. Creativity is a faucet, not a lightning bolt. And like any faucet, when you first turn it on, what comes out isn't always clean. Bad ideas come first, then the good ones. This is why waiting for the perfect idea, the perfect moment, the perfect conditions is actually the enemy of creativity. Perfection is paralysis. The people who create the most aren't the ones who have the best ideas. They're the ones who have the most ideas and then refine them through iteration. You have to separate the creator from the critic. When you're creating, don't judge. Just create. Let the ideas flow without censoring them. You can edit later. You can refine later. You can throw away the bad stuff later. But first, you have to create something to work with. Limitations fuel creativity more than unlimited resources do. When you have every option available, it's harder to make decisions. When you have constraints, you're forced to be resourceful, to find creative solutions within those constraints. Some of the most creative work comes from having to work within strict boundaries. And here's a secret that could give you a unique edge. Combine unrelated skills. The intersection of different domains is where innovation happens. Steve Jobs combined technology with design. Lin-Manuel Miranda combined hip-hop with historical biography. David Bowie combined rock music with theatrical performance. What skills do you have that seem unrelated? What interests do you have that don't obviously connect? The combination might be exactly what makes you unique and valuable. But creativity without execution is just daydreaming. And execution without energy management is just exhaustion. Let's dive deeper into the real secret of productivity. Most productivity advice focuses on time management. How to schedule your day, how to prioritize tasks, how to eliminate distractions. But the most productive people don't just track time, they track energy. They know which tasks drain them and which tasks fuel them. They know when their energy is highest and when it's lowest. They structure their days around their energy patterns, not just their schedules. For example, if you're someone whose creative energy is highest in the morning, don't waste that time on email or administrative tasks. Use it for your most important creative work. Handle the routine stuff when your energy is lower anyway. Smart people also practice strategic incompetence. They deliberately choose to be bad at things that don't matter so they can be excellent at things that do matter. They outsource, delegate, or simply ignore the tasks that drain their energy and don't contribute to their goals. This isn't about being lazy or irresponsible. It's about recognizing that your energy is finite and directing it toward what matters most. Warren Buffett is terrible at technology, and he doesn't care. He focuses his energy on what he's uniquely good at, analyzing businesses and making investment decisions. Decision fatigue is one of the biggest productivity killers. Every decision you make throughout the day, depletes your mental energy. This is why successful people often wear the same type of clothes every day, eat the same breakfast, follow the same morning routine. They eliminate unnecessary decisions so they can save their decision-making energy for what matters. Automate what doesn't matter. Set up systems that handle routine decisions automatically. Use technology to eliminate repetitive tasks. Create templates and checklists for processes you do regularly. The goal is to make the unimportant stuff as effortless as possible so you can focus your energy on what actually moves your life forward. And here's something that might seem counterintuitive. Recovery equals performance. Rest isn't a break from productivity. It's a multiplier of productivity. Your brain needs downtime to process information, make connections, and generate insights. Your body needs rest to repair and rebuild. The most productive people aren't the ones who work the most hours. They're the ones who work the most effectively during their productive hours and then recover completely during their rest periods. But productivity isn't just about individual performance. It's about building relationships and social capital that multiply your effectiveness. Let's talk about networking, but not the way most people think about it. Most people approach networking wrong. They think of it as collecting business cards, making superficial connections, and asking for favors from strangers. But real networking isn't about taking, it's about giving. Connection equals time investment. The best networkers aren't the ones who meet the most people. They're the ones who invest time in building real relationships with the right people. They focus on depth over breadth, quality over quantity. They give before they receive. They look for ways to help other people before asking for help themselves. They make introductions, share opportunities, offer advice, provide value without expecting anything in return. Relationships thrive on small touches, not big reunions. It's better to have brief, regular contact with someone than to disappear for months and then try to reconnect with a big gesture. A quick text, a shared article, a comment on social media. These small interactions maintain the relationship between more substantial connections. Build your community like a garden, one act of generosity at a time. Plant seeds by helping people without expecting anything in return. Water those relationships with regular, genuine interest in their lives and work. Over time, that network becomes a source of opportunities, insights, and support that would be impossible to create any other way. But all of this advice about relationships, productivity, and success is worthless if you're not thinking clearly. Let's talk about upgrading your thinking patterns and mental models. Most people see what's in front of them. They react to immediate circumstances, respond to obvious problems, and make decisions based on surface-level information. But smart people see the second-order effects. They think about the consequences of consequences. They consider what happens after what happens. For example, most people see low prices as good. Smart people ask what makes those low prices possible and whether the second-order effects are worth it. A cheaper product might cost more in the long run if it breaks quickly. A lower salary might be better if it comes with better learning opportunities or work-life balance. Don't collect facts. Collect patterns. Facts change, become outdated, or turn out to be wrong. But patterns reveal underlying principles that apply across different situations and time periods. When you understand patterns, you can make better predictions and decisions even in unfamiliar situations. Practice inverse thinking. Instead of just asking how to achieve something, ask how you might be preventing yourself from achieving it. Instead of just looking for what to do, look for what to stop doing. Often the solution isn't adding something new. It's removing something that's in the way. Understanding is more valuable than knowledge. Knowledge is information. Understanding is seeing how that information connects and what it means. Wisdom is knowing when to stop doing something that's no longer serving you. Most people keep doing things that used to work but don't work anymore. They stay in relationships that have become toxic. They continue strategies that are no longer effective. They hold on to beliefs that are no longer accurate. Wisdom is having the courage to let go of what's familiar but no longer useful. All of this brings us to the ultimate question. How do you design a life worth living? How do you take all these insights about time, energy, relationships, money, creativity, and thinking and integrate them into a coherent approach to life? Your life is a portfolio, not just of money, but of moments, people, and skills. Just like a financial portfolio, it needs diversification, balance, and regular rebalancing. You can't put everything into one area and expect to be fulfilled. You need meaningful work that challenges you and contributes to something bigger than yourself. You need relationships that support you and allow you to support others. You need experiences that create memories and expand your perspective. You need skills that make you valuable and adaptable. You need financial resources that provide security and options. But here's the key. Don't overplan. Life is too unpredictable, and opportunities are too unexpected for rigid long-term plans to work. Instead, experiment. Try things. See what works. Learn from the results, not just your assumptions. Change one thing for 5 minutes. That's all. Pick one small thing you want to change about your life and commit to doing it for just 5 minutes, not an hour, not a day. 5 minutes. This builds momentum without triggering the resistance that comes with big commitments. Maybe it's meditating for 5 minutes. Maybe it's writing for 5 minutes. Maybe it's exercising for 5 minutes. Maybe it's calling someone you haven't talked to in a while. The specific action doesn't matter as much as the practice of making small changes consistently. Most importantly, define your own metrics. Society has a scoreboard, but it's not measuring what actually matters for your life. Social media likes, salary comparisons, status symbols, other people's opinions of your choices. These are society's metrics, not yours. What actually matters to you? What would make you feel proud of your life when you look back on it? What would make you feel like you used your time well? These are your metrics, and they're the only ones that count. Some people measure success by how much money they make. Others measure it by how much impact they have. Some measure it by how much they learn or experience or create. Some measure it by the quality of their relationships or the depth of their contentment. There's no right answer, but there is a right answer for you, and only you can determine what that is. Life isn't about squeezing in more tasks. It's not about being more productive, more efficient, more optimized. It's about creating more meaning. It's about filling your time with activities, relationships, and experiences that matter to you. Time will pass either way. The days will turn into weeks, the weeks into months, the months into years. The question isn't whether time will pass. The question is what you'll do with it while it's passing. You can spend it unconsciously going through the motions, following the patterns that everyone else follows, doing what you think you should do. Or you can spend it intentionally, making choices that align with your values, investing in what matters, creating a life that feels uniquely yours. Most people are waiting for the right time, the right opportunity, the right circumstances, waiting for permission, for confidence, for certainty. But the truth is, you'll never feel completely ready. The conditions will never be perfect. There will always be reasons to wait. The people who live the most fulfilling lives aren't the ones who wait for the perfect moment. They're the ones who start before they're ready, who act despite uncertainty, who choose progress over perfection. Choose one idea from everything you've heard today. Just one, not 10, not 5. One. And start today, not tomorrow, not next week, not when you have more time or more energy or more clarity. Today, because someday isn't a day of the week. Someday isn't on the calendar. Someday is what people say when they mean never. Your life is happening now. Your time is passing now. Your choices are being made now. The question is, what are you going to choose? The clock is still ticking, but now you can hear it. And more importantly, now you know what to do about it. Your time starts now,